right, welcome back. We are here with Jim Kofal from the 603 Alliance. And Skip asked you a question before we went on the break, and I guess we should answer that.
There was a concern, or you raised the idea that we're a primary state. Why would you have a caucus? I would say, look, the Iowa straw poll has been around for years and years. Now, I think that's going away, and I think a lot of the reason it's going away is because it was relatively easy to game the system. If you had enough money to buy tickets for a bunch of people, you could bring in busloads of people to vote in the straw poll.
Oh, that's important because
and
we need
manipulate
to talk about
it.
That too. Yeah.
What we're going to be doing is holding a caucus, and one of the great things about the caucus process is it's a runoff, and you can't really game the system with that. You could bring people in, but you'd have to bring in more people to vote for your candidate than all other groups combined. So it's a very high bar. Now, if you do that, if you start bussing people in to try to win it, but you don't get more than all other groups combined, then what you've done is you have validated that the caucus is important and that it matters, but lost. So, it's a very risky maneuver if somebody like a Jeb Bush or any of the candidates really would come in and try to manipulate the results of the caucus. It's a risky maneuver for them.
And if you see 20 buses coming up and you kind of watch these people and they're all voting for Jeb Bush, because I'm assuming that anybody who is a candidate will be on that, go over there or what have you, you're going to be able to do that.
Right.
And if they do game the system, how do you come out of that? Or are you vetting the candidates that say, here are our minimum requirements? If you are for certain things or against certain things, no, you're not on the list.
We believe that the caucus process has to be an open process, open to any of the candidates. So that pretty much means that if you're on the ballot or going to be on the ballot, you are eligible. People can vote for you. We believe that there's enough safeguard in, as I was talking about, sort of the process of how would you game the system, or what would you have to do to game the system. We believe that that's a sufficient safeguard that somebody's not going to come in and steal it. And I think they'd have to. I think it would be pretty apparent that they're stealing it if they do that. So I think we don't see it as a major risk in the process. We do look at candidates, and Steve, I know you were asking about the CBL, which is the Conservative Business League. The CBL is a separate organization, very closely affiliated with the 603 Alliance, and it serves as a fundraising arm for the 603 Alliance because we will need funds to put on an event like this. And it also provides some opportunity to get candidates in front of voters, sometimes outside of the usual Republican chicken dinner kind of scenario. So the Conservative Business League is, as I said, a fundraising arm, but they're also working with candidates. They won't work with any candidate. So you talked about sort of vetting candidates or evaluating their position on issues. And we have a sort of scoring system that is based, it almost reads like the Bill of Rights. You can kind of go down and identify these various issues, and we're looking for where candidates stand on those issues. So we're looking at statements that they've made, official position statements, but also candidates make dumb comments sometimes in an interview, and if they say something about their position on gun control, that they're very strong on the Second Amendment, and then there's some exception, well, then their score will suffer as a result. So we look at Second Amendment, we look at free speech, we look at religious liberty, we look at a lot of these issues to identify whether candidates are really constitutionally minded, small government oriented or not. Now, having said that, we're not counting people in so much as we are ruling people out. So if somebody comes along and they've really they look good from a constitutional perspective, they may say or do something somewhere along the way that flips a switch, and suddenly they're no longer on the list. But essentially what the Conservative Business League is doing is saying, we'll hold events for candidates. We'll try to get them in front of voters and give them an opportunity to meet the voters and vice versa. But we're not going to do that for candidates that are, blatantly opposed to the Second Amendment or blatantly, opposed to religious liberty
or
or
support
free
Common
speech,
Core
or support Obamacare, etc. So that's what the Conservative Business League is doing.
And there's an important thing about the Conservative Business League that people who might want to donate to it need to know, and that it's an LLC, correct?
That's correct. So
and the advantage is
they don't have to report who their donors are. So there's obviously the usual filings that an LLC would have to do with the Secretary of State and with the Department of Revenue, but they don't have to report a list of donors. So the businesses can become members of the CBL, individuals can become members of the CBL, and all of that's very important because it helps us to achieve our mission. It helps us to pay for the costs of putting on this caucus. There will not be a charge for attending the caucus, so anybody can come and vote, provided that they're a registered voter, either registered Republican or undeclared, in New Hampshire. So if they are, they can participate. There's no cost for that, but there's going to be a high cost to us for putting it on, which is why we need the CBL. We need funds coming in, and that's why I would really urge people, if you're interested in this, go check out our website, which is 603alliance.org. There's a donate button there that'll take you over to either join the CBL or to make a contribution to the 603 Alliance.
Right, and there was one other requirement or prerequisite for attending or participating in the caucus, as I seem to recall. So have to be registered, have to either be a Republican or be a unregistered voter. But wasn't there a cutoff?
Undeclared.
A cutoff undeclared. Wasn't there a cutoff for prior Democrats?
If
you had voted Democrat within the past,
we have to establish the exact rules, but we are looking at
in other words, if you changed your registration yesterday from Democrat to undeclared to run Operation Reverse Chaos on us, you might be ruled out. But if you are a genuine undeclared and have been for some time, we welcome you.
Right. So we're finalizing the rules of the caucus. We're finalizing the location, and we'll be announcing the name, the location, and the rules in the near future.
Exactly. And again, we want all the candidates or representatives thereof to participate in the caucus. In the unlikely event that one of those more progressive candidates wins, well, then I guess that really means that they are considered to be the most electable by the most people, but I would be really surprised. But we're not going to rule them out. They have to, we have to, at least at the caucus, everybody has a chance to participate with the CBL in us putting on events for you. We're not going to do that for people that fall so far below our criteria.
We did talk about
exactly.
the scheme of how that's figured out. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. The other thing you used that word electability, and that's another thing that I want to talk about in this process, because I think that what the establishment generally talks about when they see somebody who let's say who they don't like, is they often bring up this question about electability. And I think that's one of the areas where this caucus can really help. Our goal is to shift 25,000 votes to the candidate who wins the caucus. And the establishment often talks about electability. So, in Texas, in the Senate race, Ted Cruz was unelectable. I often now am hearing that Rand Paul is unelectable. Ronald Reagan, by the way, was unelectable. So it's one of these cheap shot attacks that is often completely untrue.
Absolutely. And by the way, looking at the history, and the same, give or take the fact that history and names change, but basically the same set of people said that Goldwater was unelectable and made sure it was so, and they tried to do that to Reagan, but they didn't succeed, which made him a very successful president because he managed to get through that ring of fire and beat the Democrat handily. Ted Cruz won brilliantly in Texas. Rand Paul won his seat handily in Kentucky. Don't know if he can do it nationwide, but he was no slouch. And I think once you get these people into the visibility and in front of the public can and will fall behind them because they perceive the value. Go. Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just telling you we have 2 minutes. And if Jim has any closing remarks, I want to make sure he can get them in.
Yeah.
Where to find us?
Oh, yeah.
You can find us online at 603alliance.org. Again, 603alliance.org. Or you can give us a call at 603-369-4068. You can also email us at info@603alliance.org.
Right.
And we're on Facebook and Twitter.
Right. Indeed we are.
That. So, ladies and gentlemen in the listening audience, get involved. Everybody's like, it doesn't make any difference. I always vote for those rhinos, and all that nonsense. But you have an opportunity to really begin to engage in a process.
Yeah, I think that's the key with a lot of the people that we want to get to the caucus, is people are feeling disenfranchised. I ran for state rep last time around. I knocked on a lot of doors, and it's one of the things I heard over and over again is it doesn't matter. I'm sick and tired. I'm not voting. And we believe that this is a great opportunity for those people to get back involved in the political process and say your vote does matter. We can win this. Do get involved. It's the future of our country.
Yeah, go on, Skip.
This gives people the ability to fulfill one of my memes, which is winning is just a precursor. It's what you do afterwards that is really important. The establishment only concentrates on the winning part of it. Here's your chance through the 603 Alliance to say and to tell people, yes, we do believe what you do afterwards is most important to us.
Right. And I'm going to echo the gentleman from Atlanta who ran last time. Stay informed. Stay involved. Stay inspired. We hope to inspire you.
We hope so. So, Jim, thank you very much for taking time to be with us. I'll see you in about an hour or so, a little bit less, down the hall at the training session that's going on right now. I am Steve McDonald here with Skip Murphy, Mike Rogers, Jim Cofall. Thanks a lot. Coming up next is Mark Lucas, a regional director for Americans for Prosperity. We're going to talk about Road to Reform. We will be right back. Please stay tuned.